Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and it seems like finally the public is becoming aware of the dangers of facial recognition. Or are they? What are we really seeing here in the last few days with first IBM and then Microsoft and Amazon following suit, denouncing facial recognition technology and saying they will no longer sell it to law enforcement? Is this some kind of benevolence on behalf of big technology, or are we seeing something completely different? The old bait and switcheroo, if you will. We're going to get into all of that in a moment. I want to remind everybody not only to thumbs this video up, subscribe, and share the material, but that we are 100% demonetized on this very platform of YouTube. So $5, $10, $15, it means the world to me. This is how we do it. Big donors, I can't thank you enough. Again, make sure you are subscribed. There are literally over 1,200 videos here, including all of my documentary films, which are free for all of you guys. So, let's start with the fact that IBM isn't so benevolent. Okay, before we get to this announcement, what it's really about, let's talk about their history with the Holocaust and the very first number machines, tabulators, if you will, that were used by the Nazis to what? To basically regulate their work camps and regulate their human beings. And this was not common knowledge back in the day. In fact, I'll reveal my age here. As a 40-year-old man, I remember in the 80s that IBM was the company you wanted to work for. IBM Computers was the future. Now, there was a huge bust in the mid to late 80s with IBM, a huge fallout, and then you started to see other technology companies come into the mix, Apple, Microsoft, etc. after the fact. But IBM was this huge tech company, and even then, it wasn't like they were talking about them working with the Nazis during World War II to regulate human beings. And that's all facial recognition is. It is the regulation of every single human being on the planet beyond the track trace database society that's been built via our GPS, our keystrokes, and emails, but also able to recognize our physical personas and add that to our profile. That's the scary reality, okay? And the backlash seems to be with all of this anti-cop sentiment right now. And believe me, I've always been about justice, not the injustice system. That police should be held accountable for their actions. That I actually do think that body cameras are a good thing. And yes, we should be suspicious when they malfunction or are turned off, right? The body cams are really supposed to be there to protect our safety and ensure justice after the fact if that safety is violated, if our rights are violated. But now that's not enough. Instead, we now have this aura, if you will, that we're going to defund the police. I hate to tell everybody, the economic repercussions in this country of COVID-1984 have yet to be felt. You can't print money out of nowhere. When you start putting people back to work, not everybody's going to make it. Businesses are going to be devastated. Number two, the stock market's been going up. How are they going to do that? Well, they're going to lay a bunch of people off. Starbucks just announced, and by the way, it's so convenient that Starbucks announced yesterday or the day before that they were going to close 400 locations. Think about how many jobs that is. 400 locations in the United States and Canada, and now hashtag boycott Starbucks is trending. So Cuomo's already said that we're talking about a 20% cut in education, health, and what? The police. So it seems really convenient to me. Now we're talking about defunding the police and not selling the police facial recognition, knowing that we were going to cut these human beings anyway. And I believe this is the next step in the automation nation. Now, On its surface, it sounds good. It says, hey, this is against human rights. But when you really start to get into this, right, what are they asking for? They're asking for more federal regulation. They're saying that the software itself is inherently racist. Now, I've actually covered that angle. This is from a 2018 research paper, right? I believe Gender Shades, right? I actually covered this when I was working over at We Are Change, because the complaint was that the darker your complexion, the less facial recognition worked and the more false positives you had, which is a legitimate concern. However, my fear is that once this technology gets so good that it doesn't matter what the color of your skin is, well, then we can put it into place. And by then we'll already have so many automated members of our police force via kiosks, right? We covered that even before the riots. These kiosks, I believe, in New Zealand that are they're gonna help you with your police needs. And then you got Spot the DARPA robot running around Singapore trying to tell people to social distance. But there it's 1 meter, 3 feet, not 6 feet. It's all arbitrary. It's all control. So, number one, we should be well aware that we don't want facial recognition whatsoever, whether it be commercial uses, right? And when I say commercial uses, I mean commercial uses to track your movement on top of your GPS location, to track your mood, for precognition, to try to read what you will do next even further than the profiles they've built on you for years and years and years. Remember we went over Mainway and Snowden? Those were profile builders. Okay, and we've all seen Minority Report. Now, if you want to use facial recognition technology like so many others for your cute little Snapchats, huh? Look, I've got a dog face. I'm a fairy. Oh, that's neat. Look, I'm a neat hippie person, and whatever the hell you want to do. Whatever, great, use it. I get it. You're not going to stop technology. For instance, also mirror technology. These smart mirrors, they've kind of been around on the underground for some time. They build through Android, iOS, right? But you saw, for instance, and you're seeing these apps now where you can virtually try on glasses. And in Westworld, they showed you, basically you were putting on suits and looking in a mirror, and in real time the suit was on you. That type of recognition, I mean, you're not going to stop. What we don't need is government track trace database systems based on the commercialization of your data. So you get your social credit score and you're walking across the street and it identifies you. And right now, I believe human beings are being set up to fail. We're being set up to fail in the economic market for jobs, the automation nation I'm talking about, and in law enforcement, and also in the health field. We're going to get rid of a bunch of human beings in the health field, and don't get me wrong, we're fallible. But who's going to start making the decisions? The artificial intelligence that the elite provide us? Those benevolent billionaires of the world that we should just trust for no reason? Give me a break. It's not my thing. So I want to say it again, guys. Just the way that this is being portrayed as gender inequality and that we need more and more government regulation before we bring in facial recognition, and there seems to be backdoors for these companies anyway, and people already criticized IBM for the fact that they didn't have a large share of that market anyway. You got to remember, police have already been using the technology. If police are using it, that means the military has been using it for a very long time, openly. Think about the biometric scans they were using in Iraq in the early 2000s. Facial recognition has been around for some time. It's here to stay. We need to fight it. But let's not let it racially divide us, because that's ridiculous, number one. And two, let's not allow us to blind ourselves to start taking human beings further out of the mix of decisions. Human beings that may still have apathy and empathy and the cognizance to treat their fellow man in the right manner, no matter how dire the circumstances. Just my opinion. So guys, thumbs this up. subscribe and share. Make sure that you are checking out all of my documentary films. They are free on this channel: Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and especially right now, Shade the Motion Picture. Can't recommend that film enough. The one I did with Shepard Ambellis of IntelliHub. Great film. And if you can support me, $5, $10, $15, it means the world to me. Check me out over at Rockfin. Some great exclusives over there, as well as reposts that maybe you didn't check out. Remember, the free stuff, anybody can just sign up, create an account, and you're in. Thumbs this video up, subscribe, share. Love you guys. See you on the flip side.